Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, yeah, Game of Thrones, yeah, Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, yeah, Game of Thrones, yeah, it's the Game of fucking Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, fucking Game of Thrones, fucking Game of.
Holy moly, this is our first, technically our first official Game of Thrones reaction show, because we're preparing for next week, which will be Season 8, the final season of Game of Thrones. This is going to be a sort of prediction / recap of what we're ready for and what we think is what we need to know going into this. So, I call it episode...
from your channel.
I call it episode 0. And episode 1 will be, of course, technically next week. So this is like year 0. So with me today for this reaction is Carlos. How are you doing, Carlos? Or should I call you, I don't even know, Lord Carlos. There you go.
I am so looking forward to Season 8, and so I'm ready for action.
And Sean Snow. How you doing?
What's up, brother?
You bastard. Everybody who watches Game of Thrones will get that joke. Ha ha. Anyways, I'm Lord Commander George, and
wait. Before we move from Sean, are you wearing breeches?
I'm wearing.
Are you wearing a kilt?
I had to make it, show appropriate.
Yeah, and also we are the Geeks Watch.
Nice.
Oh.
Oh, God.
We're the Geeks Watch. We watch for things geek.
Grown.
So we're going to talk a little bit about Season 7 and recap that, because this is so much we could talk about if it was the whole show up till now. I mean, I know all three of us have been in the middle of a rewatch, if not finished it like I did. But I have a few notes. I want to talk about the fact... what I'm going to do is I'm going to name off a character, and the first thing I want to do is just go through it and say, do we think they live, or do they think they die? Or do we think they die by the end of this season? So I'm going to start... I'll start with myself, and then I'll go to each of you, and then we'll go to the next characters, okay? So it'll be just basically going down the list of the ones... And if I forget a character, at the end, you guys can remind me. But let's go with... We'll start off with the most obvious hero of the show. Well, we think. That would be Jon Snow. I think it's 50-50. I can't really say lives or dies. I got to say, I don't know. Carlos.
I think he's going to die.
All right.
Just because I think it's consistent with his character. He's self-sacrificing. I know he's already died once, but I don't see him as ending up on the throne in any case.
From what I've gathered from the lore, from watching even just the show's lore, if you don't have your priest that resurrected you anymore, you're done with your reincarnation. Sort of like Barrister when in last season when his priest was one of the guys that went with them to get the White Walker, and
right. But we don't, just because it's in the book doesn't mean.
Yeah, that's, well, no, they said it in the show. It basically, he was the guy.
Okay.
He was the guy that brought him back like 7 or 8 times,
Yeah,
and
but
basically he died. So,
there were no priests left. Was the problem?
Except for Melisandre that we know of.
She's gone. She left. She was gone. She's not.
There is the other one. The other lady we met was a priestess over in Bravo. So you could be right.
Yeah, there are priests. There are lots of red priests over in.
Yeah, they're just not in the
Essos.
area. Yeah.
Right.
Essos, right.
We definitely we don't. I wouldn't use that as your benchmark. Is what I'm saying.
Okay. So the next character on the list, I'm going through obvious, and then
Wait! You forgot.
Oh,
Sean.
I'm sorry. Jon Snow, live or die, or in between.
I'm going for die. I think it's going to be. We're going to have a tragic ending to our of self-sacrifice from Jon Snow.
I feel 50-50 because I feel he could go either way. The next character I definitely think is going to die, and I have many reasons I posted about, is Daenerys. Carlos, what do you think?
This one's tough because part of me, the feminist in me, wants to see her win and actually take the Iron Throne. So I think she will live. Not sure she'll take the throne.
I'm going to go to you, Sean, but I not only am positive she's going to die, but she will not take the throne. I have many, many reasons, but I won't get into it right now because it has to do with having, reading, double checking the lore, feeling confident about predictions, and I just feel like Jon can't defeat the Night King unless he kills her. Because according to the lore, you have to stab the woman you love, and the picture from when it happened the first time 1,000 years ago looked just like her too. And the guy, it was like a recreation of it. He had to do the same thing. If he didn't, he wouldn't create Lightbringer, the sword that Melisandre kept talking about. That the prince who was promised has to do. And the Night King is immune to all those other things. Obsidian, dragon glass. He's immune to fire. We've seen him walk right through the fire when the dragon makes it. And the Night King's special. You can only kill him with the sword called Lightbringer. And to create Lightbringer, the guy that is the prince who is promised or princess has to stab the person they love through the heart to activate it. That's the Lord of Light being a jerk. It's like, you want to do this? I'm going to help you because I don't like the Night King, but I'm going to make you get pissed off while doing that. So basically, that's my prediction. I'm pretty sure she's going to die. And what about you, Sean?
I'm of the feeling that she's going to die, but not for the same reasons you are.
Okay.
And I got to keep going back to this. It's like Carlos says, I'm divorcing myself from any of the lore from the books. As far as I'm concerned, this is a separate universe, like similar to how the MCU is a separate universe from the comic books. I'm looking at this from the same perspective, that it really, what happens in the books, it does not determine what's going to happen.
I agree it doesn't determine, but there is a lot of things that have happened throughout the show that subtly were part of the books.
Yeah, I get that, of course, because it's the source material, but I'm saying it's not going to, that's not going to determine Daenerys' fate. What my theory on Daenerys' death is, I think in the final battle with the White Walkers that there's going to be a group of characters. I'm not going to go through all of them now. I have a list of them who are going to be instrumental in defeating the White Walkers. And I think, and this is my prediction, her ultimate sacrifice is going to be that she takes out her dragon that was turned, and in the process she dies herself. That's my theory.
It's possible. I actually think Bran's going to
I like that.
Yeah, I also think
I'd like to see her live, but that would be a fitting end.
Right. It bookends her whole narrative.
Well, not just that. Before we move on to the next character, but throughout the show, and George R.R. has not spoiled anything. He's very good about it, but he did say it's going to be a bittersweet ending. And I think that what could be interpreted by that is, besides other comments that were made by actors, is that you're going to get some parts that you're going to be satisfied, got resolved a certain way. But in this entire series, anything that seems too good,
bittersweet, buddy.
Everything that's been too good to be true, like you believe Robb Stark's going to be the hero that wins. You thought Ned Stark was when they changed everything in television by making him not live. I think that it's too obvious that that Dany, the breaker of chains, the mother of dragons, the freer of slaves, she's going to die. There's no way. There's no way she's going to live. She's too obvious. It's too perfect. And this show has done everything to invert expectations. But with her, I think that dragging it...
Just like Rian Johnson in The Last Jedi. Exactly.
Yeah, but this is planned over 7 years. This is different.
No, I agree with you.
He took someone else's plan. That's different. He took someone else's idea and made some changes. This one is like,
I'm playing, buddy. I agree with you that if you're expecting a happy ending, you'll here's what you're gonna get. We're gonna get a satisfying ending. We're not gonna get a happy ending.
We're gonna get a purist victory, I guess they call it. Pyrrhic victory.
No, I don't think it'll be that. There will be a
great cost.
It's just going to be a great cost.
Right. Well, that's Pyrrhic. That's the definition, just so you know. Yeah, it's a victory, but at great cost. I mean, you still technically is a victory.
No, what it is a meaningless victory. This is going to be meaningful.
I never read that definition. I always said at great cost.
That's what a
like a bittersweet victory. Like you win,
no,
but yet
it means it's a meaningless victory.
You broke the first rule. You tried to argue vocabulary with Carlos.
Oh.
I I just kept quiet during that whole thing. I just well, let's see where this goes. Yep,
It's where
A Pyrrhic victory,
win the battle, lose the war.
A Pyrrhic victory, by definition, I'm looking at it right now, is a victory that inflicts such a devastating toll on the victor that it is tantamount to defeat. That's basically what I said, at great cost.
No, it is not what you said.
Meaningless is totally different. I'm sorry. It's like, okay, it's like the... Yeah,
George,
okay.
it's where the expression "win the battle, lose the war" comes from.
Yes.
That means that as a victory, it is meaningless because you've actually
All right,
lost.
well, I think we were both right on this one. It's just how we interpreted it.
No, George, you were completely and utterly wrong.
I love you. George.
I literally said what is said on the thing, so...
George is having a Pyrrhic victory right now.
It is cut... Wait a minute. I see what you did there, you son of a bitch.
No.
He's created one for himself.
You know, Sean Snow is such a fitting name.
It's so
for
beautiful.
Sean.
It really is.
Yep.
All right, the next character on our list is Brienne of Tarth. I say dies. What do you say, Carlos?
Oh, I so want to see her live. I want her. I want to see her live. She's just so noble and so.
Well, it doesn't matter what you want. What do you think is going to happen?
I think she's gonna live.
All right. What about you, Sean?
I actually agree with this, and I just came to this conclusion in the last literally 6 seconds. But I wrapped this around my head really quick here because this is the thing about Brienne. She is always seeming, no matter how much of the short end of the stick she gets, she always manages to persevere. I mean, there is tragedy.
All the women have on this show. That's the great thing about the show.
Yeah, there's tragedy all around her, but let's put it, she gets her fucking job done, is what she does.
Hell yeah.
I'd hire her in a heartbeat to do phone connections. Seriously, fucking heck, I count on her.
She might get shocked because of her armor, but yeah.
Well, I deal mostly in low voltage, so she should be kind of okay.
All right. All right, so now we move on to Jaime Lannister. I say lives. I have my reasons, but it's not just me going, let me guess. I really think Jaime's going to live. What do you think, Carlos?
I think he's going to live, but I also think he's going to kill Cersei.
I originally thought that. I now think Arya is going to be wearing his face and kills her. But that's just, we'll get to that.
Oh, that would make sense.
And George has himself another Pyrrhic victory.
Because I don't think Jaime can go through with it. I think
No,
Arya,
this one is an actual victory if it works out.
And the funny thing is, it would make him the Queen Slayer, then on top of the King Slayer. But at the same time, it could go either way. But I mean, the witch did predict in the woods that in that flashback that a loved one would be the one that kills her.
Right.
But
that it would be a sibling.
Right. But I think the witch could have seen what Arya did and misinterpreted it easily.
Yeah. No, I totally see how that could be the case.
And what about you, Sean? What do you think?
You have convinced me. Holy shit. And I think I'm going to expand on this because I love your fucking theory. I can't, George, this is the best theory I think you've ever had since
I'm a different person when it comes to this show. You'll see.
Boy, oh boy, you are. Because, I mean, after last week and, Luke showing up in The Mandalorian,
my theories are different with this show because I reread some of the books and like my mental process is different with this.
You remember that? Remember what I posted about? My wife suggesting that I put Italian dressing on a Cobb salad. How shaken I was by that. I've been
to the core.
To the core, right? I've been literally shaken by this whole notion of Luke and the Mandalorian. But no, I think this is a great theory. In fact, I'm going to take this a step further. I'm going to suggest that not only does Arya kill her with Lannister's face, but Jaime gives a go-ahead. Or at least
because he can't do it, but he agrees it has to be done, right?
Exactly. He'll at least concede it. He's not going to.
Or he won't stop it. He'll know about it and learn about it, but he'll just go whatever.
Right. He'll condone it. Exactly.
Because
I like that theory. I think it's a great theory. Yep.
I like that too.
All right. Tyrion, I think he'll die by betraying Dany and getting burnt to death as a sentence. And the reason, I'm going to tell you quickly why I think that. I think that I was rewatching that episode in season 7, The Spoils of War, when he saw the devastation that Daenerys caused to her brother's army, and how his brother who he loves, he almost died, and he was sitting there going, "You idiot, get out of there!" Tyrion wants Daenerys to be the queen because he believes in her, but at the same time, when he's getting closer and closer back home to King's Landing. He's on the other side, and he's seeing his family's house's army getting fried alive, and she's being heartless when it comes to like her execution of the Tarleys. He little by little, you can see it in his face. He knows that that he needs to be loyal to her, but at the same time, he's getting pushed up against a wall. He's getting to the point where the closer it gets to where they have to take King's Landing, depending on how far Daenerys is willing to go.
I totally disagree with you about that.
All right.
He knows what's at stake. He knows that
But when
if
he
they're
walked through
attacking
the battlefield
a Lannister
looking at-
army, that Lannister people are going to die. That's like...
I just think that you're gonna be surprised. I think that Tyrion is going to be. He wants to be loyal to her, but then at the end, when it gets closer to home, he's going to say, "No, fuck this."
I have to completely disagree with you on this one. By the way,
That's fine.
just a quick side note. Okay, do you realize who played Dick and Tarly?
Dickon, Tarly, and he also played on the Umbrella Academy. Yeah,
Fucking A.
That's
right.
right.
yeah, he
Yep.
played the I forget his name, the main
Good
character.
eye, gentlemen.
Yep.
Yep. Because I was trying to when I
That was a
watch
great
it-
death, too, by the way.
Oh, it was outstanding. Yes.
I really felt bad that the son had to die with the father. That's where I agree with Tyrion's reaction. Like,
Well,
come on,
but
couldn't you just spare him, even though he didn't bend the knee? Come on.
Here's the thing. Okay, let me get back. First, yeah, I noticed that I was trying to place him in the Umbrella Academy, and then when I did my rewatch of Game of Thrones, that's when I immediately picked it up. But why I disagree with you is because you have to say that Tyrion has probably been morally speaking, and as a matter of pragmatism, the most consistent character on the entire.
And I hope I'm
series.
wrong. I just have this weird feeling because I think they want to shock us. I think they do.
I don't. But that's
There's
not.
going to be plenty of other shocks.
Yeah,
This is
that's
not going to be one of them.
But that's gratuitous. Game of Thrones doesn't shock for the sake of shock value. They've never done that. If they did, I would have left a long time.
Well, we haven't seen the contest that could lead up to it. Like,
But
I think that's the key part. You have to see it happen within this season.
I don't have any problem with this notion of Tyrion having reservations about, his losing his brother. Okay, I have no problem with that because that was bound to happen when he was on that battlefield, and he was absolutely correct about the bending the knee thing with the Tarleys. But then at the end of the day, it wasn't his decision to make, and
he respected it, yeah.
And he respected it, he moves forward.
He
That's
begrudgingly
how he
accepted
rolls.
it, very much so.
Well, of course so, but that's his
Because he doesn't
job.
know, as he helps his queen get closer to her goal, he's starting to realize it's like why he's appealing to his sister. He's like, you guys got to stop fucking around. You don't even know what's going to happen.
But that is not the seeds of future betrayal. That's
Right.
Like I said,
Exactly.
we're going to see. I think that what we're going to see is the leading up to that. Why it gets to that point. I just say I see it in the end of the long game of what's going to happen.
I think here's my theory about Tyrion. First of all, I think he's going to live, if only because of the fact that my former roommate, who is the one who paid for my HBO for many, many years, said that if they kill Tyrion, he will stop watching the show, even if it's before the
So
finale.
therefore, it means that we're going to get okay.
So Tyrion's going to live because
For that reason.
For that reason.
They don't want
Now-
to lose that customer. They know he's been a long time.
He's not the only one. He's literally.
There are so many characters that people
no,
will say they quit
no,
over. They've said it over the
no,
years.
But he's dude. He's the
He's different.
Daryl. He's the Daryl. If you've watched Walking Dead, he's the Daryl.
I know
of
what that
Game
means,
of Thrones.
but they can't. Well, and that's not true. The ratings did go
if-
down quite a bit. Yeah.
If Daryl dies, we riot. That's always been the case with The Walking Dead. And if Tyrion dies, Game of Thrones fans will riot.
I
But
agree.
don't think. But I don't. Not even that's a motivation though. It's again. He is. What makes Tyrion such a great character is, despite all his incredibly his flaws as a human being. Okay, he's a very flawed character. Yet his soul is so pure that when it comes to, at the end of the day, what the right thing is to do,
You're right.
He's a bit of an anti-hero, and he's I see.
He's never actually. You're right, Sean. He's been consistent. He hasn't been someone like many of the characters who, like Jaime, his brother, who pushes Brienne out the window and then later regrets it and starts changing because of
Right.
Brienne. he
No,
actually
he's been the same guy.
he was always
Yeah.
a good moral character, no matter what
Right.
was going on. He always,
And
at the end of the day, would not, for example, not take advantage of Sansa on the wedding night. He was like,
But-
I'm not going along with this. I believe in the moral fiber of the universe, and
And it's more.
I just
than
have to
that,
play the
but-
game, is the way he saw it.
But right, exactly. That's his pragmatism. But here's the thing about that: it's more than that. The reason he's the way he is because of the household he grew up in. He has an empathy, a sense of empathy for other people who have suffered the kind of pain that he has suffered.
Agreed, and I think that's exactly why thematically it would be a horrible decision to kill him.
Agreed. Yep. So
I
say he
really
li-
think,
I say-
I'm hoping
I
you're
say he
right. I can't
lives.
say I agree with you yet, because I think they're...
I
There-
think if you look at the broad themes of this show, of these books, killing Tyrion would completely undermine it.
I think you might be right.
Yeah, I mean, he's really.
But then
he's-
you can have the same argument with Jon
Tyrion-
Snow.
Nope,
Honestly.
nope.
No, you can't.
Jon
Right.
Snow, it's perfectly acceptable for him to sacrifice himself.
Yeah,
For
you
a
know what?
greater
You're right.
good.
Tyrion's a
Jon-
survivor, but in a
Jon-
different way.
Jon
Yeah.
Snow. Jon Snow is just a straight up noble hero. Is what Jon Snow is. So it's almost expected that he's going to die. Okay.
I honestly
We're-
don't think he is.
we're-
I think that
we're-
between the two of them, Danny and him
I
are
know.
opposite equals, and that
Okay.
she's going to be the one that dies.
Okay, but when it comes to Tyrion, though, Tyrion is the soul of this show. I mean, he is.
Yep.
He is. He's the heart.
He's what we go back to when we say, "Oh my God, these people are so fucked up." But at the end of the day, Tyrion's like a warm blanket, man. He's a cup of hot cocoa that makes you feel better about the whole thing. Seriously,
Yeah.
he is, man.
All right, let's move on to.
Oh, wait. I'm not
what?
done with Tyrion.
All right, go ahead.
Not done with Tyrion. I have a further theory on Tyrion,
Sure.
which is that I believe he is also a Targaryen.
A lot of people have said that. So you're implying that maybe his mom had an affair with any of them, Aegon,
Yeah.
not Aegon. I mean, the Mad King maybe, or
It doesn't matter. It's one of them.
Rhaegar. That's what I
And
was gonna say.
yeah, and that's to me the big clue was when he went down into the dungeons.
And the
to
dragons
confront-
accepted him. You're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's
So and it makes sense because look at it now. That means we have Jon Snow, Daenerys, and Tyrion, and they're
Yeah.
all actually Targaryens.
I
That's
completely
not a
forgot
bad
about
theory.
that, Carlos. I love that because I rewatched that episode and I'm like, those dragons sure as hell calmed down around Tyrion, and maybe they were smelling this. I thought, what I was thinking, that they were just smelling the scent of their mama on him.
No, that wouldn't have been enough. There are
I
plenty of
think-
people who've touched Daenerys that they would fry.
Because I think of all the things because the only reason people are finding out about Jon is it was recorded by the Maesters. But if Tyrion's if his mom, the now deceased wife of the former king, Robert Baratheon, if his wife had an affair, I mean, because everybody in that family had affairs, but if she had an affair, because we don't know a lot about her, if she had an affair with the Targaryen, could have been Rhaegar, could have been the Mad King. I'm thinking the Aegon, not Aegar, whatever his name is, the Mad King. I'm thinking he's the son of the Mad King. I think he's literally a brother of Daenerys and, a nephew.
And it would
or
make kind
an
of
uncle
sense
to-
because,
Jon.
incest does cause genetic problems.
Right,
And
and
so
they-
it's incredibly possible that
But
that
how
he
is it
passed on
incest
some
if
bad
the
genes.
mom... Oh, we don't know much about the mom. She
No,
could have
it's
been a
not
Targaryen.
that she's also. It's just that he's carrying genes that are intermarried genes.
Yeah, that's true.
And
And by
that
the way,
might be enough to cause a deformation like we see.
You have
Daenerys
a-
actually brought this up. She actually mentioned this in discussions about the Targaryens, the madness in the Targaryens family, and this was also addressed in regards to Joffrey as well.
For
So
those
this
that
is-
don't
this
know
is
some...
not this is not a new concept.
I'm
This
not gonna
actually
take long.
Does make sense.
Okay, I'm going to mention something real quick. I'm not going to take long to drag this out. One of the things, just for the audience that may not know the lore, the reason why the Targaryens are able to control dragons and all that is because there was something called the Doom, and before that, ancient Valyria was like the greatest magical place in the world. And they talked about this in one of the episodes when him and Jorah went by. Suddenly, they were the most advanced civilization in the world until they weren't. I like that light. It's like Atlantis. It's like the fall of Rome combined. And in that ancient, and they're going to do a spin-off show after this next one. That's going to be in that time. but they used a lot of sorcery and magic. They were the king of it across the world, and they made it. So the Targaryens were the only family of ancient Valyria to survive because one of them had a vision that there was going to be a destruction of their with a volcano like Pompeii of their entire civilization. So all the Targaryens took off for Westeros, and that's the only reason. And they were the only family within that entire dynasties of Valyria who that survived. So just quick, little trivia there. And but they have to interbreed to carry on that bloodline because only so many of them are fireproof, like Daenerys. Just because Jon, for example, is a Targaryen doesn't mean he's an unburnt.
Do we know he's not though? Do we know?
Well, I
We don't
mean,
know yet.
we don't. He hasn't been tested yet, so we'll see. But I'm just saying, like, not every Targaryen. They can all control dragons, but not all of them can be unburnt.
Well,
like her.
George, I appreciate all this, but I think we're getting ahead of ourselves here with this broader discussion.
Yeah, let's move on to the next
Targaryens.
character we're going to talk about, which is Cersei, and we sort of talked about her a minute ago. So we're but like we talked about, the theories, the witch talked about in one of the episode's flashbacks that she always had a prophecy that she would her family would all be basically gone, and she would die through someone remind me, you said it earlier, I think, Carlos. What was the witch's prophecy?
That she would be killed by a sibling.
Right. Or a loved one, something like that. One or the other. So Cersei is a character that everybody is supposed to hate. Because of Gwendolyn Christie being on the Today Show the other day, and her saying, she didn't give anything away, but she said, this is what she said. She said, the only thing I can say is that in some areas, fans are going to be so pleased with how things that should be righted are righted, and some things that should be righted are not righted, and they're not all going to be happy. So there's going to be some people upset. She goes, and there's other people that are going to be happy. It depends on which closer you wanted. And basically, I interpret that to mean, at first I was like, so does this mean Cersei actually does stay on the throne and wins? And then I'm like, no. Because of that prophecy, that's the only reason. She's going to die at probably Arya's hands, pretending to be Jaime, like we talked about. But does it... Okay, I know for a fact that it happens... Or I don't know when she dies. But the last two episodes of Game of Thrones, episode 5 and 6, are the Battle of King's Landing. The White Walker War ends in the 4th episode. So I'm wondering, like, is it going to happen in the 5th or 6th episode? Like, right before the end of the show. Does Cersei die at the very end? Or does she die... I mean, I think she's going to die, first of all. What do you think, Carlos?
I think she's going to die. I think she will die at the very, very end.
I think I agree with you on that one. What about you, John?
Yeah, I think she sealed her fate with the double cross at the end of season 7. I'm positive of it. That was... Cersei is like the Kai Wynn of the show, okay? She's
yeah, pretty much.
The villain you love to hate. And Lena Headey's performance has been so outstanding in
it
making
really
us
is
hate.
Because you can't completely hate her.
Exactly.
And then you start to like her again, and then she pulls some major crap, and then you hate her again. But
right.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think the double cross, it's not that she did it; it's her inability to see the big picture because of her own personal needs
demons.
for vengeance, or her own personal need for vengeance, need at this point her need for power, where she can't see the bigger picture. It's like like we talked about in Discovery the other day. That the Pike's given a choice: either accept your fate or the end of the universe. Well, she just basically picked the end of the universe. So I mean, that's going to be her downfall. I think is that she's been very careful, very pragmatic, and has made very smart choices along the way. And she's dealt with adversity by flipping the table, like she did, with the folks from High Garden. And it has come at great cost to her, but this was a bad choice she made, and and the fact that Jaime said, "Fuck this shit, I'm out." And here's the thing: you say what you want. We've talked many times before about the how controversial the incestuous relationship between Jamie and Cersei is, but at the end of the day, there is no question at all that Jamie has always been completely in love and devoted to her.
Right.
So for him to make such a dramatic decision, I think is a foreshadowing of how big of a mistake this was for Cersei in the end.
Going back a little bit, because I have many more characters to get through about our prediction, but I want to stop right there to talk about this. The greatest character's arc, as far as someone changing and becoming totally redeemable, has to be Jamie. I mean,
oh yeah, totally.
His character arc is incredible. Yep. Even Daenerys, she never started off bad and became good. She was good and got closer to being on the dark side until someone pulled her back. With Jamie, he started off like a pompous Lannister ass who was willing to push a little kid out the window and risk killing him, and then talking about assassinating him. It probably helped hire that one dude, but with the dagger in the second episode or whatever. Maybe it was the first, I forget. But you know what I mean. And then by the time he goes through his journey arc with Brienne and gets to where he is at this point, his arc is the greatest redemption story I have seen, I think, ever. That's just my opinion. I mean,
yeah, it's very good. The thing about it is, though, I think at the end of the day, how do we put this? I think it was always there. I think we just got more exposed to it through the
exactly. I mean,
of the character.
Him being the Kingslayer,
exactly.
He made that decision as a moral decision.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly it. It wasn't just about the fact that he was ordered to behead his father. It was the fact that
that's a good point, because his story to Brienne was that Ned Stark, who is the greatest moral compass in the show and led to everything, he walked in and he assumed that Jamie just betrayed the king. He never bothered to explain, because as he said to Brienne in that bath, he said he wouldn't have believed my side of the story. He would have been interested in my side of the story.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And the true side of that story is that Targaryen was going to kill every single resident in King's Landing, is what it comes down to. He's scorched earth approach to this.
And I think, honestly, that's how some of the shit's going to end in King's Landing. That's my prediction. Cersei's going to say, if you're going to take King's Landing, I'm going to torch everything before you...
That would not surprise me at all that she would go that route. I mean, she's got the what's that called? What's that?
The wildfire,
right?
And exactly. I just feel that that's a planted thing that's going to come back, because she's going to be like, I'm not going to let that Targaryen bitch take this.
I mean, because the thing to remember about the wildfire is that Tyrion knows it's there.
Right.
That doesn't mean they can stop it, though. But
well, here's the thing. Let me put it this way. I think there's less of a chance of them doing that again because she already did it once.
Yep.
But I think she's going to try, and I think it's going to it's going to just be another.
She'll either try or succeed, but I really think King's Landing is going to go.
It's going to be another bad mistake that all stemmed from this major mistake she made at the end of season 7 with the double cross. I mean, look, here's the thing. I knew her fate was sealed the moment that Jamie said, fuck it, I'm out. I'm going out of my word. That's it.
Let's, since we're spinning off, I had a couple people before this, but because of what we just talked about, who has been Cersei's loyal champion, which is the weirdest character on the show, which is the Mountain. And the Hound in the Mountains, what people are waiting for is what they call Clegane Bowl.
Clegane Bowl.
I'm sorry. Clegane Bowl. And we know that's coming. And a lot of people think that when it comes time to take King's Landing and Cersei before Arya can kill, it's all going to come down, and they're going to have their fight. And I have never seen a character show so much super strength as the Mountain. So I'm really wondering how the Hound's going to handle this, but I think he'll die at the same time. But we'll see.
You talk about Jaime Lannister having the greatest redemption arc. I totally disagree. The greatest redemption arc in Game of Thrones is the Hound.
I think they're actually hand in hand, to be honest with you.
I think.
I mean that Jaime Lannister fans without a joke.
I think Jaime kind of edges him a bit, but actually, I'll take it back now when I think about it, because, like I said, That kind of contradicts what I said earlier, because Jamie really wasn't so much a change of character. We just learned more about him as the
Yeah,
story progressed.
you're right.
Where,
Hound
whereas,
actually changed. You're right.
yeah,
He
well,
totally
Exactly.
changed.
it actually, I made this point last month when we were talking in chat about this, that Jamie, Jamie would at the end of the day do the moral thing for the sake of doing the moral thing,
Right.
whereas the Hound would blindly follow orders. And
Well,
is only,
Arya had a
and,
huge part
and
in
he's
helping him see
Yes, he
himself.
did.
Yeah.
You're right. Hence the change, and of course that little commune that he was in, all those poor folks who
That
got
was
murdered,
huge. Yep.
and that was a huge turning point for his character right there. I mean, if Arya did it, that put him over the edge. So yeah, I mean, I agree with that. That really, at the end of the day, his arc has in redemption.
Oh, I'm
arc
sorry. I
has
forgot to
been much
mention.
greater.
So the Hound. Oh, we'll start with the Hound. So the Hound, live or die? What do you think, Carlos? I think he dies. What do you think?
Oh, I think we've written him off as dead. What, 2 times already? He's gonna live. He's
Well,
gonna
doesn't-
live.
He might be
You
really
can't-
more wounded and messed up, but yeah, he might live. The Mountain's definitely dead, in my view.
Well, yeah, he's an unholy creature.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm hoping
And
it's very
let me
violent.
just weigh in just for a second on
Sure.
Clegane Bowl. I hate the notion of it. I'm sure it's probably going to happen. I'm not
They
interested.
set that
in
up
it
last
in the
season when he
slightest.
walked up to him and said, "You know what's coming." Remember that?
Yeah. I don't. It's too predictable for me to be interested in it.
I don't know. Depends on how they execute it, like always. I mean,
I think
we know that they're going to fight the Night King, but here's another quick question. Do we think the Night King's ever going to speak? I think he is.
Nope. They've said Night King will never speak on the show.
I've never heard that. When did they say that?
I don't remember exactly where, but
Because in the
they said
books, in the other Night King, not this one, he spoke. He's not incapable of speaking. He just
it. Again, this is not the books.
I know. I'm just saying. I think that he needs
But
to.
no,
in
the
order to...
showrunners have said he will never speak.
Oh, all right. Well, I don't mind that. I just was curious. I never heard that.
I disagree. He'll say one word only.
Fuck.
Nope. It will be very simply no. And if anybody's ever seen Mel Brooks' silent movie, they know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Okay, so here's the thing. You know, there's a spreading fan theory about the Night King. Have you guys heard about it?
You mean about Bran starting it all when he's
Yep.
working?
Yes.
I
but,
actually think there's some merit to it, but I'm not sure. I've heard another theory too. I heard a theory that the reason the Night King's after Bran and is because Bran's warging has, well, that he is Bran essentially. That Bran got stuck in him in the past.
Yes.
When he got the knife pushed into his heart. And just for fans that don't know, this is the second Night King. There was 2. There was one Prince of Promise, killed the first Night King, and then that was like 5,000 years ago. And then the last time, there was a Night King and a Night Queen. This is the one we're on now. The Night Queen got destroyed, or supposedly, and then he's looking for another Night Queen. And then the other theory is that, well, that's in the actual lore, but the theory is that Bran, in trying to combat all this, wargs himself and tries to go into, and it starts with the Mad King, where he's trying to control the Mad King and say, burn them all, but he's actually talking about the White Walkers, and then it ends up getting misinterpreted during that moment. I don't know if I buy that theory, but we'll see. But he gets stuck in that body, basically. So if he doesn't kill Bran,
that's the theory.
you know.
And I think I'm okay with that theory. I don't feel
agree
like
with
it has to happen, but it would be an interesting twist.
The warging will definitely come into play. I just don't think he, in that sense. That's my opinion.
There's a certain balance to him being stuck inside the Night King, and the whole that being the thing that drives the Night King to be doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
Plus, there was also the thing. If you look at this is one that I read just yesterday that I thought was really interesting, and I didn't notice it. If you look at the formation of the whites as they go through the breach in the wall, they actually are arranged in the form of the sigil of House Stark.
A friend of mine also PM'd me and said there's a clue he picked up when Bran was warging into some of the Ravens when they were observing and scouting. I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was interesting. He said, and he doesn't read any of the shit, and he's like, he was doing a rewatch, and he goes, it's an offline friend I grew up with, and he goes, I noticed something. I think Bran's involved with the White Walkers because of the way that the Ravens react and all this other stuff. And he said something, I can't remember exactly, but I was like, and I know for a fact he hasn't been reading these theories. So I'm like, so you picked up on something that other people have talked about, but in a different way. And I'm starting to go, that's interesting. I don't know. What do you think, Sean?
I'm confused.
All right, well, that's good reaction.
I'm a little. I'm curious about that. Carlos, can you go back and explain the sigil for the House Stark thing again?
Yeah, because I don't.
Yeah, it's if you look at the shape of the formation of the whites as they go through the breach in the wall, there's a shot from above looking down, and they are arranged in the shape of the Stark sigil, which is the wolf.
Holy fuck.
Yeah,
I just posted in our chat a link to.
Well, you guys are not completely wrong. In the books, the first Night King this Night King is meant to be. He used to be a member of House Stark, one of the earliest, like back during Bran the Builder, when the next show is going to come out. That he was a member of House Stark. I don't think he was Bran the Builder, but he was a Stark member. So what the idea is that the Night King is a Stark. So the whole thing about the Starks always have to be in Winterfell and all that stuff started with
some
him.
Time travel shit here. Okay, now we're getting into time travel. Great.
Well, no, we've had time travel with Bran already. So
I thought those were more visions.
No. He's the reason Hodor became Hodor.
The three-eyed raven thing. It's called green.
Oh, that's right.
Green sight.
Vision. Green sight. That's different. There are people. The wildlings can warg into animals. He has a rare thing called the green sight, where you can actually astral travel through time and space.
Okay, I forgot that. Okay, I'm tired. Okay,
and the fact that So, okay, moving on to.
So who are we predicting? Who are we asking about? Who's going to die? Where are we at?
Okay, I was about to jump to that. Qyburn, the necromancer creep guy.
He'll die.
He'll die. I don't think there's any
Mad
doubt.
scientists always die.
Yeah, they do. Sean, you agree? Pretty sure he's going to die?
Oh, yeah.
All right. We know Varys is getting...
I was waiting for this one. I was waiting for this one because that's a no-brainer.
Yeah. We know... See, here's the funny thing. This isn't even really a prediction. It's just a question of where and when. So Varys and Melisandre, the two of them, they already talked about this last season. She saw the both of them dying. It's just they played their part and they're both going to die. The question is, how soon do they die? I think it'll be in the middle, like near the end of the war with the Night's Watch. By the way, does anyone think that it's possible that when they do the Battle of Winterfell episode, because in the trailer you see them in the civilians, including Varys, they're in the crypt where all the dead Starks are, right? Now I know Ned Littlefinger. Someone reminded me of this. Middle finger. That would be a better nickname for him. But Littlefinger arranged for Ned's remains to go to the crypts of Winterfell through it as a favor. Now, they could have sewed his head back on. I know it's a little bit of a far-fetched, but is it possible that the thing Arya was running from in the trailer is some of the dead Starks coming back to life? It could be Catelyn, it could be Robb, it could be Ned with his head sewn back on. Do we think it's possible? They're in the crypts of Winterfell, and the dead are coming. I don't know. You don't think so?
I don't think so. I mean, for example, I was never a fan of the whole, what is it they called the resurrected Caitlyn,
resurrected
lady
Caitlyn?
Something. Yeah, in the books.
Oh, the Night Queen?
Back.
Oh, her?
No, Caitlyn Stark. I thought you read these books, dude.
I don't remember that part though. It's been a while.
Yeah, she came back, and it infuriated fans of the books that in the show she does not come back. She's resurrected, but she's like this driven by despair and revenge, and she has a weird name, like Lady
I can't
Lady
remember.
Something, Dark Heart or something like that. I know people
that's
the books
true.
are probably going, you
Stoneheart,
stupid person, you don't even know the name. Stoneheart, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so this is too reminiscent of that. I think they're dead. They're just dead. Ned Stark is dead. Catelyn Stark is dead. They're all dead, dead, dead.
Also, we don't have any kind of reports that they came back for anything. Doesn't mean it couldn't happen, but
I just don't see it happening.
They are pretty good at keeping secrets for this final season, so, you know.
Yeah, but it just doesn't make any sense to do that.
It just seems weird that, like, they'd be in a scene where they're trapped in the... Like, they're hiding out in the crypts, and it seems, you know, the dead make everybody rise as part of that when they come. It kind of feels weird, like they wouldn't take advantage of that. So, I don't know. I mean, I think it's possible. I'm not, like, reaching out there like I did with the Wheelie Pikes theory on Star Trek. I think it just makes sense a little bit, you know?
I think this is a really big stretch for the sake of how fucking convoluted these last 6 episodes
it overcomplicates.
Would it be convoluted? Because they're in there, they raise the dead and you're in the crypts.
It's just too complicated. I don't see them going down that road.
All right, I'll agree with you guys for now because we don't have enough
major
evidence.
Figures that if you bring them back, it's distracting.
I will say this. I will say that I'm not going to be shocked if they do it, but at the same time, I'm leaning towards agreeing with you guys this time.
George, really quick.
Yeah.
Can you do me a favor? I need to pause the recording really quick because I have to tell something to Carlos that I just got.
Go ahead. That's fine. I know where we are. Hold on. Let me look at the recording. I know where we are. I can find it anyways.
Oh, I actually already. You also see it. They also started obscuring not the number of patrons because they can't obscure that, but how many patrons are in which tier in Patreon.
Oh, I see.
He started masking that weeks ago.
It's kind of all right. So we're a few more characters, and then this has been a good way to do the show for the recap. So we're pretty sure that Varys, the Spider, and Melisandre are going to die because she foresaw it. Now Sansa, I think she's totally going to live. But there is a theory out there that maybe she becomes the. See, the thing is, I know you
She'll
guys.
be queen in the north.
I actually don't know about that. I think that she could become the new Night's Queen. He always chooses a queen when he goes running through his shit. He has to pick one. It's part of his lore. I know you guys are saying the book, and I get that. I'm saying it could be possible, but my instinct is she's going to live. She's been through enough shit, kind of thing. So Carlos thinks she's going to live. You already said that. What about you, Sean? Sean, as its son.
I think she's going to live. That was one of my easier picks. She's going to live, and
she's basically the female Tyrion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, another character with a great arc and growth. So yeah, I do believe she's going to live.
And then her brother Bran, I am 100% positive he's going to die. Not just because of the theories we've heard. I just feel like the three-eyed raven thing. I mean, one could argue that the kid's been through a lot, but I just feel like he's going to die.
He's going to die.
He's going to die. What do you think, Sean?
Bran's going to die.
Yeah, me and Carlos think he's going to die. What about you?
Another no-brainer. He's going to be
no-brainer.
self-sacrifice moment without question. He's gone.
All right, so let's move on to Arya. I think she's not only going to live, but she's going to kill Cersei and be like, ha ha. I've had a lot of people ask me this though. Does she go back to a normal life, or is she just using the faceless thing and her skills that she's learned, and she's going to continue to live like this? That's actually the one thing I'm on the fence about, because she always
has no normal life.
She has a list though, and I'm thinking,
yeah, but it's almost all gone. It's like that's not really
her
who she is
anymore. Yeah,
so
it's
much
tricky,
of that list
though.
has become irrelevant. Anyway.
George, we talked about this last week in group about that scene with
in group makes it sound like went to therapy or something, but yeah.
But the scene with that was so controversial. Who's the singer? The guy Ed Sheeran.
Oh, Ed Sheeran. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, Sheeran.
Okay, so
Sheeran.
It's like this. I think that's kind of a big moment for her in general for her character, because she's sitting around a campfire with a bunch of Lannister King's Landing soldiers that are just regular people, and it was clear that the point of that whole scene was for her to gain some empathy from people who she regards as mortal enemies, and they were kind to her and they took care of her, and they
That's
weren't
a good point.
they weren't trying to rape or kill her. And I think that has I think that set a tone for her personality. I don't think that she's the the girl without a face or faceless person, whatever. I don't think she's that anymore. But I do think she wants to close out her list. I have no question about that. So
yep. I think what's going to end up happening personally is like she kills Cersei. She does her thing. I think, by the way, she's going to get along great with Daenerys, even though Sansa's in the scenes we've seen from previews that she's going to be suspicious of Daenerys and Jon bending the knee. But you saw it from the trailer. Arya's always talked throughout the show about how she's hero worships the Targaryen dynasty and the dragons and want to see one. I think she's going to hero worship Daenerys. I don't think she's even going to be slightly suspicious. She's going to look at it like the way Freddy and Shazam did, Superman. It's going to be like, I've always grew up on these stories, and like she's going to have this blind, like, oh, Sansa, you're just being a bitch again because this is a Targaryen. Look, there's dragons. I think that's going to be an awesome arc that they're going to, a mini arc. But I really see it playing out that way.
You think she's gonna go fangirl on the Targaryens?
Oh, hell yeah. You can see it right in the if you pay attention to season 3, like you were talking, you did the rewatch when she's talking to Tywin, and she's like, and he even says so that Rhaegal Targaryen, which is one of the sister wives of Aegon, and her dragon, that's her hero, and she's like like such a fangirl, and then you see the trailer when she's looking up at the dragons approaching Winterfell, her face, she's ever wanted to do is see a real dragon. She had everything memorized. She was like. She knew the names of the swords for the Targaryen women, all that shit. She is going to fangirl the fuck out when she meets
God
Daenerys.
damn, you're fangirling the fuck out of this. Holy shit.
I know.
So true.
I mean, I'm not even...
I think that my feeling about Arya is, yes, she's going to survive. But I think the tragic part for her will be that there is no normal life for her to return.
Right. I agree with that.
She was a little girl, and she's not. There's no way she can ever be a little girl again. Literally,
I don't think she's going to be. I agree. I think I like the theory about her killing Cersei with Jaime's face, but I don't think it's going to bring her any closure. At all. Is what I think.
It'll be like she did it, and then she might have one goodbye with Jon or something, and she'll disappear.
That's our the bittersweet. That's your bittersweet.
I feel like she
there.
will definitely survive, though. Definitely.
Yeah, I agree.
That's been one of the key things is these Stark women. They've been the survivors of the show. But Arya really...
Except for Caitlyn.
Except for Kate.
Yeah, Catelyn. You guys keep mispronouncing her name. It's Catelyn.
Nope, it's Caitlyn.
It's Caitlyn.
On the show.
No, it's Catelyn.
It's always been Caitlyn, brother.
No, it's always been
Dude,
Caitlyn.
I rewatched it. It's Catelyn.
No,
I rewatched it too. It's Caitlyn.
No. This is madness. What's going on?
It's Catelyn. George R.R. Martin talked about it on one of his... TED type of stage things where why did you pronounce it Catelyn? And he even said because I wanted to take the names and change them around a little bit.
Yeah, but here's the thing: he may have said that, but that's never how it was.
But that's how I heard it on the show.
That's right.
I watched the Red Wedding and I heard Catelyn Stark.
No.
Sorry, I don't know where you guys were at the time, but whatever.
Yeah, I think I also straightened you out about something else there too, didn't I?
I never heard I know many Caitlyns offline, and I always heard Catelyn.
Okay.
Well, anyways, I'm telling you, I'll take a bet. Be like, go listen back.
You don't want that bet. This is like the Edamir in the cell thing.
No. This time I'm pretty. I'm as really confident as ever.
Dude, all you got to do is just go to any scene. If you want to even talk about the Red Wedding, just put on closed captions, man. It will straighten it all out for you.
All right, well, I won't get into it right now, but I'm very confident about this. But we'll talk about this for another bet. So, there's only a few people left on the list. My list is different than Arya's, of course. Or is it? But no, we got Podrick, the man with the big dick. He's a squire.
You don't necessarily know that it's big.
That's what Braun keeps talking about.
Actually,
and that's why they
no. They were very specific.
They were pretty specific about that.
That it wasn't about the size. It was about the size of the
It
water. It was about the. It was about. It was
the motion of the ocean.
The ocean, exactly. The magic he performed with
the magic cock. That's what they basically called it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh wait, so does he live or does he die? I say lives.
Oh hell yeah, he's gotta.
What about you, Carlos?
Oh, lives. Yeah.
What about his
It's
cock?
just
'Cause they do
too-
cut those things off in the show, so I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean he's his own way. He is a survivor, and just because he's associated with Brienne, and Brienne
Yep.
lives, so will he.
And Tyrion. And yeah. And then we go to Gendry. Gendry, I'm sorry, Gendry. Gendry, I mean, for all we know, he could end up on the throne. He does have a claim. The blacksmith character that we thought was gone last season, but I say I'm really torn. This one is hard. I don't really. I'm thinking he might even end up marrying Sansa, to be honest with you, or Arya, for all we know. Although I don't think that's probably the case.
Arya
What?
is not going to get married.
No, but he could end up with Sansa as an arranged thing. But I don't know. I just feel like it's really hard when it comes down. He's like one of those characters that he doesn't. You can't. I just don't think you can predict their exact intention. I'm leaning towards he lives, but I'm thinking it could go either way, just like I did with someone earlier. Like I think it was Jon Snow. Yeah, so I think it could go 50-50. That's the only other character in the show I'm literally 50-50 on whether they're going to live or die. What do you guys think? It's Carlos.
Go with Sean first.
All right, Sean.
I'm borderline in this. I'm going to go with, he's a loose end for the story, to be honest.
He's a
So-
tack on. He's a loose end. Yeah.
No, he's not a tack on. He's a loose end because he's Baratheon's bastard.
Oh, that reminds me. In the books, this is interesting. In the
Oh,
books,
boy.
they covered there was like at least I want to say 30. There were so many other Baratheon bastards that were explored in the books. They condensed at least 4 of them into Gendry. See, he's not even actually in the books. His
Well-
character is a combination of at least 3 or 4 of the bastards that in the books they tried to find and round up.
I don't think he's relevant enough to the story. Number one. Number two, he's a loose end as far as a claim to the throne. So I don't think he survives.
All right, now Carlos, what did you think?
I think that probably he. Wait, did you say he's not going to survive, Sean?
I did.
I
think
say he
agree
will.
with you. I think he will not survive, but I think
like
he
you said,
will.
well, I said 50-50. Yeah, I can't decide on
I
this
think he will prove himself to be super heroic.
Yep.
And that is wonderful. But I feel like he's one of the ones. Some people have to die, and Gendry's going to be one of them
By the
because
way-
he's clearly not going to be the king because he's Gendry. So
Yeah. He doesn't
he's
want it. Even if he,
expendable.
Exactly. Yep.
But by the way, before I finish the list, there's only 3 more people. But before I finish the list, do we think that in the middle of all this combat, some of these characters are going to rise up as a white and they have to kill them? Because I think they will. Some of them. Not all of them, but some of them. Because you're not going to have a chance to burn them all in the middle of the combat based on how big the fight is.
I think that's not the characters we discussed, okay, but I think some more of the like the how to put the secondary primary characters. Is that how
I think it would be
secondary
more impactful if they do it to some of the primaries, like say
Well, okay.
Brienne or
okay,
someone like that.
well, I don't think that, but I think it's more like the red haired guy with the beard, the wildling guy.
Yeah, Braun, not Braun.
I could see him being
forget
a
his name,
guy.
yeah.
who-
The
I could see
wildling,
him,
yeah.
I could see him being a guy that gets turned and that they got to kill him. I could see
Yeah.
that happening. Guys like him. There's plenty of characters like that we haven't discussed here. That I could see that very much happening.
Couple more characters. I want to jump to one of my favorite characters on this entire series, who I think is totally going to live, because I think he's important to everything going on and in the future, and that would be Samwell Tarly. He is the heart. He became the heart of the show. He's a maester in making. He's the character who was the underling and the underdog, and he was there on the Night's Watch, and his growth in the show. Anyways, I say 100%. I feel like I'll be shocked if he dies. I think he's going to win. He's going to be the one that records everything that happens in this for the future. So I think it's important that he does win story-wise. I could be wrong, but I just feel it makes sense. What do you think, Carlos?
I agree. He lives. He's going to be the greatest maester of all time.
Of all time. What about you, Sean?
Without question, there
All right.
is episode quite. In fact, I think I would not be surprised if the twist at the end of the show is that he has been narrating the entire show.
That's
That
possible, because remember that scene I don't remember if it was last season or one before, but the one with the where they're looking at that obelisk or whatever you call it in the middle of the citadel, and he was trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Not obelisk, you know what I mean? That thing, I can't remember the name of the.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But it was interesting. Like his whole arc has been knowledge, learning from the past, trying to help for the future. Every character throughout the show that's seen what he can do, such as, for example, Stannis, when he said he knows. Stannis asked him when he met him, how do we defeat them? I'm still researching it, and he basically kept saying he was giving him permission. Keep on reading, Samwell Tarly, because he knows this guy's going to be. Everybody saw it that this guy's going to be the one that's going to come up with the answers next season, or how to defeat them for good. But what about you, Carlos? You said that too, right? He's definitely going to live. He already asked you. So that brings us to Gilly, his wildling girl, and little Sam. Totally going to live. I think.
She's not important enough to kill.
Not just that, but I feel the
I mean,
three of them
I hope
are,
that probably came out wrong, but she's just
yeah.
She's not a big player in terms of battles or anything. So yeah, I mean, she's hope for the future. That's what she represents. That's what
interestingly enough,
little Sam represents.
Interestingly enough, Samwell would be the last of the he's the last of the Tarleys. The house, he took that sword that his father was pretty sure he wasn't ever going to give to him. And we saw them the whole house. He's the last of the house, and that was why his father had such a problem with him, not doing whatever, because without Dickon, they weren't going to carry on the name. And then you got like the Greyjoys. I skipped over them a little bit. Theon is the last of the line, but he can't father children. So then it's his sister. If she doesn't live to have kids, that house is dead. We don't know yet the fate of House Greyjoy. So that era. So we don't know. I'll quickly ask this. I'm not going to focus so much on Theon because I'm fairly positive he's going to die for many reasons. But as far as his sister, who's the only one left that can carry on she has to have a child. What do you think? Do you think she's going to die? If she's going to get rescued, or what's going on?
She's too badass to kill off.
Think so?
She'll be gravely wounded or something, but I think she'll live.
What do you think?
Precisely because she is the last Greyjoy.
I think she'll live, but it's kind of close. But yeah.
Me of what is dead cannot be killed. I mean, seriously, that bitch is hardcore. I mean,
yeah. Totally.
We like her. I totally expect her to survive.
All right. There are other characters we could cover, but I just want to cover one last character before we call it for this first sort of pre-show. And that is one of the greatest characters on the show also. That would be Bronn. There's a lot of good characters in the show, but Bronn has an extra... He's one of those characters that crosses over the arcs of all the characters. Not like... I should ask about Jorah, too. I'll save Jorah for the very last, okay? I should talk about... Yeah, Jorah's worth it. We'll give him one last thing. But Bronn...
let's not forget about Varys.
We did talk about him. I said Varys. I
we
put
did
him
talk
and
about
Melisandre in the same... Because we know they're going to die. It's not a guess. She predicted their fate. She always kind of sees things. So it's just a matter of... We asked when would it happen? Middle of the show?
So we think Varys is going to die? Is that what
she already said he's going to die.
Yeah, well, I mean, that can always go. Predictions can always go. Yeah. She also thought Stannis was the
prince that was promised. I know.
Yeah,
I feel like the two of them. She said her fate and his were tied together, so to speak.
But I think she definitely dies.
Yeah.
And I could see him surviving. But
I don't know. I think she was telling the truth.
I think that that if he does die, it will be in service of his dream of a peaceful Westeros.
Right, and which would mean serving Daenerys and Jon because he's it's consistent. Him and Tyrion have one thing in common. They want to see the world a better place than the way they found it.
Yeah.
And the only leaders that have proven to be like that is Jon and Dany. They're the true heroes of the show. But the thing is, that's why I think I don't know who's going to. Okay. Sorry, I had to burp. Bronn, going back to Bronn, he's the mercenary who has switched allegiances. He's always been a Lannister-sided person, but it's which Lannister he serves. Tyrion or Jaime, and his arc is a very interesting. He's a true mercenary on this show. I totally predict he's going to die. I do think he'll get a good death, but I think he's done. I don't even think he'll make it 3 episodes. I think in the big battle in episode 3 that everybody's talking about, I think that's when he's going to go. I believe. What do you guys think?
I'm trying to just think about what purpose does his death serve? Like he's too
because we have George R.R. Martin always said that you can't have a big war without heroes dying because it doesn't make him feel like it's realistic. And I feel Braun's the ultimate
but
soldier.
Is he a hero?
That's
really?
the problem. He's not a hero.
That's
not
why
really
he's going to die.
Hero. But that's exactly
be.
why he shouldn't die.
Nah, okay. I think you're overreaching on that one. I think that Braun is meant to die. Well, they have to kill people off for the war to really have an impact. I feel Braun's death. I think they want a high body count by the end of the season if it services the plot because it's a war to end all wars. And I feel like
sure, but you're just your argument is that they need a body count, and that's not an argument. I think thematically, his character doesn't. Losing him is not that big a deal.
If he survives, I'll be happy. But I think I feel.
I have a theory about this. Okay, I think he's going to die. But here's the thing: Braun has been so consistent with who he is, with no bullshit, and he does not give a shit. Whoever's paying him at the time is who he's loyal to. The twist here, I think, is going to be for Braun is that he's going to sacrifice himself for something that's actually noble, which is
maybe he jumps in front of something for Danny or something.
Right, so something completely against character.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that one.
That's how we lose Braun. If he goes, I mean,
he's going to get that opportunity that the Hound got when they were on that ice island last season.
I kind of feel like if you don't kill him off and give him that kind of send off, and he survives, then what the fuck was the point of him on the show to begin with?
Because his whole thing kept talking about how his loyalty. It was like Han Solo. Look, he was like, it was all about the money and it was all about the glory. But then at the end of the day, he's like,
but look, Han
Solo's a major character,
right, and he flipped that script by the end of A New Hope. I mean, so that's not really a very.
It's funny you're both mentioning this because George R.R. Martin mentioned on stage. I was watching the other day that Braun is the one character from his books that became bigger and better on the television show and he said he was really happy with how HBO did that because for him Braun was a minor character. It didn't matter. HBO saw something different in him, and it was also because of the actor who played him that they said, he's got something. This actor and this character, there's something that they saw that George R.R. Martin wouldn't have thought of because he didn't see the face attached to the character on the page, and so it became
he's one of those. He's one of those characters in Game of Thrones, like Podrick, like that. They weave their way through the story, and they, end up associated with different major characters as they go through. And they tend to be survivors.
And the actors sometimes do dictate a little bit the direction they take.
Here's what it comes down to for me. His purpose is on the show is he's a fun character. That's his purpose.
Yeah, he's fun. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he's like Lando. He's like
that's how he's not deep at all.
He's not. He's simple. That's the whole point.
He serves the purpose, and he serves as a perfect foil for whoever's paying him at the time because he's a complete dick to him the whole time, which is hilarious. I don't think it doesn't matter who he's helping out. But like I said, if they want to make him a more meaningful character at the end, that's why I predict that he'll die and it will be something.
Yeah, I agree.
As opposed to a bag of change. So.
Let's end the last character. I could talk about Greyjoy too, but. Let's talk about let's like the last character we talked about before we cap it up is Sir Jorah Mormont, and I feel like his arc has been amazing as well. He's definitely gonna die. I'm sorry, he'll die protecting Dany. That's what he came back for that. I think it's gonna be how it ends. He was allowed to. He'll tell her he loves her or something at the last minute and something, and he'll die and he'll get a heroic moment. But I feel like for him, for who the death tolls, like the Metallica song, never fit a character so poignantly. I think he was meant to die since a long time ago to come back.
Which is exactly why he will live. I think
See,
that
you keep thinking
because
they're going to completely keep inverting the expectations. I don't know. Sometimes I think it is what it is.
I think you need to look at what he's been through already. Jorah um, is a tragic character. He's in love with a woman he can never have.
A much
And I
younger one,
think,
too. Yeah,
and I think that that he will always be tortured, and I think the final torture will be seeing Daenerys die.
You might be
And
right, because that could make him and Brienne have a lot in common, too. Maybe they'll hook up.
What?
They're both knights, and they both have the same ideologies.
There's lots of knights.
No, but the two of them have more in common than you could possibly imagine, if you think about it.
They both have heads. Yes.
No, what I mean is, like, Brienne got totally so upset by not being able to serve Catelyn Stark that she had to go through this honor redemption thing with the daughters until it practically killed her, and she had to keep going to finish her oath. And he's been the same way. I think they have so much in common. I suggest that they both go on Grindr and find one another. That's my thought.
On Grindr?
Sure, on Night Grindr.
I think it's Tinder you're talking about.
No, we'll call Grindr's a thing too. I mean, oh no, you're right. Tinder. I'm sorry. Night Tinder.
Okay.
KNIGHT Tinder.
This has gone off.
No, I mean, think about it. They have so much of this similar. They're oaths.
This is a waste of time, you guys. It's
All
like
right.
these are characters in two completely different tracks on this show.
I know. I'm just joking. But
that's where they're gonna stay.
All right. So you guys think he's gonna live? It's gonna be a weird thing.
No, I think it's exactly what Carlos said. That he's a tortured character. He's going to remain tortured, and the ultimate loss he's going to experience is the fact that he couldn't save Daenerys. That's what it's going to come down to. That's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I think. I agree
survival
with you on
for him is worse than death.
Mm-hmm.
I think I agree with you guys. I'm thinking more. You know, he reminds me of Roger Moore. He looks so much like him. I never noticed it until I started watching.
He kind of does. You're
he
right.
Does, and thought about that before. Yeah.
I don't remember anybody saying that, but I believe you did. I just don't remember it. That's all. So don't take offense. All right. What? So yeah, that's our episode 0, sort of preparing for the big event next week when the final season of what's going to arguably be one of the greatest shows to ever hit television finishes up its final season next week. I mean, and also we have prequel coming and other. They talked about spinoffs with Aegon the Conqueror and things like that. I'm excited. I mean, it's great stuff.
Do we have any the one greenlit spinoff that we know of? Do we have?
Yeah, it's called The Long Night, and and they've already cast 2 or 3 members of the cast. They cast a woman and a couple of guys, and it takes place 1,000 years when Bran the Builder helped build the wall and started the Night's Watch when the first Night King became a threat with his Night's Queen. So they're going to cast a woman to play the Night's Queen. The woman they already cast could be, for all we know, the Night's Queen. It's part of the lore, but they're using that lore, and that's 1,000 years in the past. You know your buddy that you shared that thing with that has the whole lore of Game of Thrones?
Mm-hmm.
Look into, just click on the origin story of Bran the Builder. That's who Bran, by the way, was named after. And he was one of the first Starks, and this is the start of House Stark. This is the story of what led to the wall being built, the first war with the White Walkers. There was 2 Night Kings, and this was the first one. And the first Night King had a Night's Queen. He created the Night's Queen out of someone that was he was a Stark also. They got turned into a White Walker, or the first. And then the one you saw in the flashback with the Children of the Forest in the show, that was the second one, the current one. So there's 2 huge storylines that were similar to one another, and the winter lasted for like 1,000 years. But yeah, so that's what they're focusing on for the spinoff, which is supposed to start in 2021. They've already started casting it. It's in the works. The wheels are spinning. So it's called The Long Night. It's called The Long Night. Game of Thrones, The Long Night. I don't know if they're going to use Game of Thrones and then call it The Long Night on the bottom of that, or just The Long Night, but we'll see.
Very good. Oh,
all right, and Carlos, where can...
I saw a video of it the other day. Guess what? George R.R. Martin hates fan fiction.
He does.
Yep.
I actually agree with his reasons. I think it's funny, actually.
The logic is pretty good.
Yeah. He also doesn't like it. People asked him, why do you kill your main characters? And he said, it's real simple. He says, I love Tolkien. and I love Lord of the Rings. But how many heroes survive, which is pretty much all of them, through a huge war? He goes, it just isn't realistic. It's kind of that simple. He felt like he needs to take you through that emotional journey because he felt like they can't. If you aren't afraid for the characters, then you're going to assume they're going to live just because they're part of a Lord of the Rings type thing where, Aragorn's, he's not going to die, so don't worry about there's no there's no suspense, there's no fear. He wants to scare you. Anyone could die. It's a war. And I appreciate that. I really do. So. And, yeah. So let's just cap the show. Carlos, again, I'm doing this as a separate thing. So where can people find you again on social media?
I'm on Twitter at cpedraza and also at Axmonitor on Facebook in the Axmonitor Facebook group and online at axmonitor.com.
Very good, very good. And what about you, Sean?
The Real Super Geeks Facebook group, and of course at the Axmonitor Facebook group.
Awesome. And you can find us, like Sean said, on the Real Super Geeks starting next week. This is the first episode of Geek of Thrones. It's episode 0, technically, because, again, it's a recap and a sort of a prediction prequel to the show. And you can find Super Geeks also on Subspace Radio, subspace-radio.net, and I'll link it. And you can find us there Mondays at, it changed time-wise, it is 10,
8 o'clock.
11 Eastern time, and whatever the other time is for the
8
West Coast.
Pacific.
8 Pacific, you're right. And so, yeah, you can join us there, and TR Super Geeks on YouTube. So I want to thank everyone for joining us. I'm looking forward to Game of Thrones, obviously. And, yeah, so we'll talk to you guys out in Winterfell when the war begins. Oh, yes.
Walking Game of Thrones.
Oh, shit. Okay, good night.
Put that in the show notes.
I am going to do that.